first thing you want to do is get your ingredients together. So this is a really easy way of getting all your 5 a day in one go, and it'll last you a few meals. So I'm making enough here for me and mum and dad, and that will probably be enough for one meal for Alan. So out of your stock cupboard, you're going to need milk, salt, pepper, olive oil spread or butter, and the staple vegetable cubes. You're also going to need some potatoes. So for 2 people, you might want to use 4 or 5, but obviously I'm making more than that. And then eating's cheating. I'm not buying proper broccoli and cauliflower. I've just bought the bag of it. And you want a tin of carrots and a tin of garden peas, a couple of leeks, some grated cheddar, and some low-fat soft cheese. You can obviously use whatever vegetables you like and use full-fat milk, full-fat spread. I just tend to make it like this because it's a bit lighter. The next thing you want to do is boil a full kettle so we can get the potatoes going, and set the oven to, you guessed it, 200 degrees. So once your water's boiled and you've peeled your potatoes, put them in a pan of salted water on a high heat with a lid on for about 15 to 20 minutes until you can chop them up with a fork easily. So whilst your potatoes are cooking, put your broccoli and cauliflower onto a baking tray. You don't need any oil or anything like that. Probably want to break your broccoli up and your cauliflower up so that it's little broccoli and little collies. And then we're just going to put that in the oven on about a middle shelf for 8 minutes or so. Alexa, set the timer for 8 minutes.
Second timer, 8 minutes.
So just while your broccoli and cauliflower's in the oven, the reason they're in the oven, by the way, is because it just takes out the excess water off them so that your pie isn't too wet. Get your leeks, slice them in half lengthways, top and tail them, and take the outer skin off, and then just chop them into really rough slices. And then you just want to put your leeks in your pan with some hot vegetable oil and a little sprinkle of salt, and just get them all coated in the oil, and you're going to leave them to cook down for about 5 minutes just so they get nice and soft. Okay, so now your leeks have softened nicely and you've made yourself half a pint of vegetable stock, maybe 200 millilitres if it's just the 2 of you, 400 millilitres if it's both of you, but just use half a cube if it's just for 2 of you. By that time, your veg that's in the oven should be done and looking a little bit roasted. And then all I'm going to do now, and I'll have to put the camera down, is add a tablespoon of flour to this mix. So your flour's a binding agent, but it's also a thickener. So that's going to help to thicken the sauce up a little bit while it's in the pan. So we've got the flour in. I'm just going to add the vegetable stock in as well. And so what I've put in the pan now is I've put the vegetable stock, what's technically known in the cookery world as a great big lump of soft cheese, probably about half a pack. I've put in a couple of big handfuls of grated cheese and a couple of 100 millilitres of milk. Again, I'm doubling up at the moment because of mum and dad, so just do it as you feel. What I'd do is as well is just reduce the heat down to sort of a medium-ish sort of heat, and then you want to just leave it to cook for about 4 or 5 minutes until it gets quite thick like double cream. So when your leeks and the cheese sauce have had about 2 or 3 minutes on the heat, I would just add in my carrots and my peas. Give them all a stir around and just let them cook for a couple of minutes more just so they get warmed through. Because they're out of tins, you don't really need to worry about them cooking because they'll cook anyway in the oven. So what I've done now is I've just put my broccolis and my cauliflower into the cheese mix pan. Just give it a good stir round. Make sure everything's coated nicely. And you might want to taste it. Add some black pepper if you think it needs it. And by this point, your potatoes should be about done. So you can just leave this on the heat, on a low heat, just while you sort your potatoes out. And the sauce will just thicken up nicely and the veggies will just get a little bit more cooked through. Okay, so into the potatoes has gone a big lump of olive oil spread or butter, whatever you've got, some salt and pepper and a big glug of milk. So now you've got your lovely smooth mash, and we've put our pie filling into a bowl, and I'm just going to spoon the mash on top of the pie filling now. So the potatoes on top of the pie now, just give the top of it a run round with a fork so that when it gets crispy it'll get nice and brown. And then just put some grated cheese on top and it's ready to go into the oven at 200 degrees C for about 20 minutes, just till it starts bubbling and everything. So after 25 minutes in the oven, top tip, put them on a baking tray because they do tend to leak when they get hot. You've got an easy, cheesy, potato-topped vegetable pie. I'd probably have it with some roast chicken and maybe make some onion gravy as well. Enjoy!